Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Hello, hello, and welcome once again to our Energies and Opportunities program. So once a month, we're live with you to share with you the energies of the coming month. Today, October 28th, we're going to be looking at the energies as they're moving all the way through the month of November. We'll touch in a little bit to the end of October. So we want to offer you a warm welcome. I think most of you know us, but for those of you who are new, I'm Carola Eastwood.
And I'm Chetan Parkin.
And we are evolutionaryhumandesign.com. In today's broadcast, I'm going to be looking at the energies of the coming month, both through the astrological matrix and also through the human design system. So you get two different ways of understanding the overall energies of the month that we're all going to be participating in, how you can make perhaps the best use of those energies, and how you can work with them to your highest benefit. So that's the purpose. Before we get started, we'd love to let you know about a special offer that we have in case it's something that you would like to take advantage of, because it's only being offered for a short time. It's our yearly Energies and Opportunities program, in which it's a membership program in which, for a very, very low dollar, $297 for the year right now with our early event pricing, you can get access to the energies of the entire year, month by month. So you have them all loaded up in your member center before the year even begins. So you'll be able to look ahead at each month. So I'm not talking about our monthly broadcasts. You'll have those as well, but I'm actually talking about what we do is illustrate the energies of the month in terms of what are the best days for you to make decisions, for you to establish communications, for you to start something new, what maybe are the days to avoid to do those kinds of things. So you have a whole system that you can, it's easy to work with and fun. You have a whole system that you can just look ahead at any month of the year and see what are those best days going to be in that month that I can really use if you've got, say, a presentation to give, or a new job interview, or something like that, to
or a contract to sign, something like that.
Really important things like that.
Yeah.
To do those on the days when the energies are really aligned for a higher success.
It's a proven system that we've devised here, so definitely worth taking advantage of. We run our whole business on the basis of these, what we call best days.
Right. Yeah. So our promotions come out on the best days and so forth and so on. Anyway, it's a program that many of our members have found very valuable over the years. It is alive and available now. So you'll join now, and then you'll be given access to the member center, and then you'll be given the information of the coming months ahead as they get loaded up in December to your member center. So to get there, to take a look at it, just go to our website, evolutionaryhumandesign.com, and go to the top tabs and tab over to the trainings tab, drop down to the second drop down menu, and it's Energies and Opportunities of 2024. You might be interested to know that we're calling the year of light speed innovation, 2024, the year of light speed innovation at the dawn of a global awakening. It's a powerful year. We hope to see you there with us in the program.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and then later on in the month, we'll open our yearly holiday reading special. You'll see about that because you'll get emails if you're on our list. So we're going to begin today with just a little background, because we're starting the month, actually today, we have a lunar eclipse. But eclipses happen in sets. So there's a set of eclipses usually twice a year, and they're spaced 2 weeks apart. We had a solar eclipse on October 14th, and we talked about that in last month's broadcast. Basically, in a nutshell, it's indicating relationship changes. It was a solar eclipse in Libra, and it's bringing about the conversation as to how workable are our relationships, how pleasant are they, how rewarding are they, how fulfilling are they, and can they be even more fulfilling, or if it's a business relationship, can it be even more productive and enjoyable? So that's the energy of the eclipse mid-October. Then we have one also today, actually at 1:25 p.m., that's Pacific time. And for those of you who are into astrology, that happens at 5 degrees of Scorpio, the sun, 5 degrees of Scorpio with the moon at 5 degrees of Taurus. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. Shatan, you wanted to open up with the energies as we see them through the human design chart, which is also really fascinating and powerful at this time.
Okay, so today we're having this eclipse. Eclipses are always quite dramatic in terms of shifting the undercurrent of what's going on in the world around us. And I just want to go back and have a look at the one that we had earlier on in the month, that solar eclipse, where the moon sat in front of the sun, and in major parts of America there was this ring of fire. And it took place in the gateway number 32. And the 32 is always this, it's kind of finger on the pulse gateway. It's checking out, where am I with things? Is everything running well? You know, do I need to do some modifications? Am I concerned about things breaking down or things failing, collapsing? And the 32, with this first line that this moon eclipse or the solar eclipse took place in, is called being consistent. Lasting results require a constancy in your attitude. So Carolyn is saying, you know, this is very much to do with relating and relationships and of all sorts. And what this eclipse did was kind of highlighted, are there some adjustments needed? And the 32 is really that thing, putting your finger on the pulse. Am I okay in what I'm doing, or do I need to make some modifications? And first line, it's very foundational in our lives, like really gave us that opportunity to see. And a lot of us have seen that eclipse was really quite intense for a lot of people, that they realized a lot of things needed to have some kind of an adjustment in their life. So here we are, we're in the next eclipse, a couple of weeks later, and this is a full moon eclipse. So this is where the moon is on one side and the earth gets in the middle and kind of blocks out the light from the sun. So they're opposite each other, sun and moon are opposite, and the earth is getting in the way and kind of constricting what it is that's coming through in terms of what the moon's energy is. And it's an interesting one because it takes place in another gateway. It's the gateway number 27. And the 27 is the gateway of nourishing. And when you look at the hexagram, the chop marks for it, because each of these hexagrams has a series of 6 chop marks, it's a solid line at the bottom and a solid line at the top. And then all the lines in the middle are open. So it's like an open mouth in a way, like nourishing. What do you put in your mouth? How do you nourish yourself? So we're talking, yes, absolutely about food and diet and things like that. But we're also talking about, what do we put in our brain? What do we put in our heart? You know, what do we put in our feelings? And, you know, who are the people we have around us? What kind of circumstances do we find ourselves in? Are we in what we would describe as healthy company? You know, nourishing company? Are we nourished in our lives? Or maybe we could spend a bit more time in nature. You know, maybe we could kind of look for a new way of being able to nourish ourselves in the moment. So it takes place in the 4th line. And the 4th line is the line that's called being bounteous, supporting everyone through giving and receiving. You know, when we can find that balance between giving and receiving, you know, then we find ourselves, not only are we nourished, but everyone around us is nourished too. And again, it's about being really present and really connected to the circumstances, but realizing we live in an abundant universe here. We forget it from time to time. We have this word that somebody got included in our language called economy, you know, or hardship, or, you know, scarcity. And it's just a case of looking around and seeing, actually, we're in pretty good shape. You know, the money thing is, I get the sense the money thing is going to start moving again. But it's up to us to make those moves to allow that to happen. But again, it's a very, very particular eclipse, this one, just highlighting today. You know, the eclipse, the effect of eclipses can last several months. So it's just seeing, you know, if we can imbibe this energy of being bounteous, you know, that we live in this amazing plenitude of things, and take it from there. So in the next days, we go into this life thing we call alignment. And then we come up, of course, to Halloween, All Hallowed E'en, and Samhain in the pagan festivals on November the 4th. It's a very particular name, or particular time of the year, in a sense, of reminding ourselves that life really is a blessing. We have so much time to be here, and time really is all we've got. And so this coming of Halloween, and it's turned into a lot of kind of trick or treat, or people get really excited about costumes and things, and play in that whole realm. Am I on the living side or the dying side? And what's that gap in between? And sure enough, as Halloween comes around, the sun goes into gateway number 44. And the 44 is the gateway of instinct. I call it patterns, as though from a single thread, all of a sudden you get the whole picture. From just a little glimpse of something, you can see the whole tapestry. And so as Halloween comes around and this end of the month of October happens, we have this possibility to kind of look into a very different reality around us. To see through things, to penetrate through things. When we get to the 4th of November, we come to Samhain, this pagan festival, and we open up into the life theme of incarnation. Incarnation, coming into the flesh. We are spirit beings. We are consciousness in human form. And so as this month of October comes to an end, first thing is be aware of the bounteousness around us. And then just to see, my goodness, I'm in this extraordinary place of having this life experience, incarnate. I've been given this body, I've been given this outfit to have this life experience. And just to see there's everything to play for.
It's really a choice, isn't it, as to how we see our life. It's, we can see, like they say, the glass can be half empty or it could be half full. And it depends on our perspective. And I think that's somewhat what you've been talking about, is what is our perspective when we do live in an abundant universe? And can we embrace that? Can we see that abundance is part of our nature? It's our birthright, actually. It's how we're meant to be and meant to live. When we step into that, when we embrace it, then we call more abundance to us. It's just a law of the universe. It works beautifully. So this lunar eclipse that happens today, it's not one of the most powerful eclipses of all time. It's a partial eclipse. It's not necessarily going to rock our worlds in some big way, but it is going to give us enough of a bit of a rumble. For those of us who live in California, we know what those earthquake rumbles feel like. A bit of a rumble, just a bit of a wake-up call to, what are we really valuing in our life? I say that because while the sun's in Scorpio, which is about transformation, how is our life continually transforming? But the moon on the other side of it is in Taurus, which is about values. Well, if we know what our values are, we're clear about them, and we're grounded in our values, then whatever transformation needs to take place in our life can happen unimpeded. If we're not clear about our values, or if our values are skewed, or they're not even ours, they're values we inherited from our parents or the culture or whatever, so we don't know what our values are, then it can be very difficult to really align ourselves with our vision and our goals to accomplish what it is that we actually came here to do, to be, and to express, if we don't really know the foundation that we're standing on. So our values are really foundational. So we've got the moon opposite the sun, the moon in Taurus, conjoined by Jupiter in Taurus, which is just an emphasis on being clear about our values, and that when we stand on that bedrock of our values, we stand in a place of strength. And from there, we can build. The other side of it, the sun in Scorpio, is also together with Mercury and Mars in Scorpio. So, Scorpio can have a kind of bad reputation, but because it is one of the power signs. Aries and Scorpio and Leo are power signs, and Capricorn to some degree. But yes, it's about power, but power can be used either in a detrimental way or in a very, very healthy and beneficial way. So again, we're back to what are our values and how are we going to use our power? What power is really available to us? A while ago, I told the story of doing a fire walk. If any of you have heard of, or maybe you've done the fire walk, it was an extraordinary experience because it invited us to completely let go of the preconception that we're as human beings, we're not able to walk barefoot across 30 feet of burning coals. That won't work because our feet will burn. That's the belief, right? Well, what we learned in this workshop and in actually walking across the coals was that yes, we can. Yes, we can walk across these 30 feet of coals without feeling anything, without our feet being harmed at all. Yes, we can. Why? Because we believe that we can, because we say that we can, because we're that powerful. We're creators. We're co-creators here. There's no time like Scorpio, like with the sun going through Scorpio, that is better to remember that we're here as creators. The other thing that's happening during this time, planet Pluto, which is of course one of Scorpio's ruling planets, along with Mars, Pluto in Capricorn in its last period of time that it's going to be in Capricorn for another, about 240, almost 250 years. Pluto in Capricorn has been working, as many of you know, if you've been with us for a while, on transforming the systems that hold our society in place. Well, all we've seen of it so far is how so many of the systems haven't been working or aren't working. And what we probably not so aware of are the remedies that are being, the ways in which those problems are being addressed today, and the ways in which they'll continue to be addressed in the coming year, 2024 and 2025, 2026. We're in a period of powerful revolution. Pluto in Capricorn in its last year of challenging us in terms of our societal structures and challenging us to recreate those societal structures. And at this time, Pluto is activating the soul path for all humanity. So it's really calling us to find solutions and to take action with those solutions. The other thing that's happening at this time today, and also this covers the next several days as we go into November. Venus, the planet of love and pleasure and values and romance and all that good stuff. Venus in the sign of Virgo, moving into a big grand triangle with Pluto and Uranus. So we're going to see high creativity, high innovation, lots of powerful transformation in a way that potentially brings a lot of benefit to all of us. So we're going to see that happening from October 31st to November 3rd through November 6th. Over to you.
All right. I just want to go back again to that title that we gave the year 2024, because we're kind of settling in the foundation for it right now. And again, Carol and I sat with this, looking at the energies of the whole of 2024 and just look to see, could we come up for a title that we come up with every year? And again, we say it's the year of light speed innovation, right? So technology or thought forms, consciousness thought forms, shifts in our perspectives are going to come about really, really fast. Like massive breakthroughs are going to happen. And we're saying it's at the dawn of a global awakening. So we might look around at the moment and say, my goodness, we're a ways away from any kind of awakening. We've still got this thing called war going on. We've still got immigration going on because people can't live places anymore without being harassed or find places to eat. There's all kinds of crazy things happening in the world, but we are in this moment in time shifting the consciousness, which is what's going to happen alongside this innovative light speed innovation that's going to take place. So just to be aware of that as a background. You were just talking about Pluto. Pluto beginning to end up its trip through Capricorn. And I think it's middle of January 2024, it goes into Aquarius again. Again, it's not completely done with Capricorn, but it's opening up another doorway for us.
It's going to dip in there in 24, in the earlier part of 24 for a few months.
Yeah.
Give us another preview of coming attractions.
Right.
Then it's going to come back into Capricorn for its last time before it goes on at the beginning of next year. Yeah.
Just to say, are you done with all this stuff yet? You're ready to move on. Because, you look at the symbol for the Aquarian age, it's these two waves, as above, so below. Heaven and earth are both possible. Heaven on earth is absolutely a possibility. And that is basically a large part of the energy that's taking place. So what I'm going to remark on now from the human design perspective is there's a lot of things taking place. In the early days of November, Saturn has been going retrograde. It's taking its time going through all the gates in the emotion center. It's bringing us up to date in terms of how are we feeling about stuff? Are we still irritated about things? And right now it's in gateway number 55. 55 is the gateway we call abundance. We call it the gateway of spirit. It's an unreasonable gate, just as being abundant is unreasonable. We get blessed when we're really clear that blessing is appropriate for us. And so Saturn now in gateway number 55, which is basically opening up this whole possibility. What are our rules and regulations around being abundant in life? How do we limit ourselves? Is there some kind of blockage that we hold in ourselves that we're not allowed to be abundant? What is happening simultaneously is we're going to get a lot of exposure to the channel of 4323 this month. And those of you familiar with human design, 43 in the crown center, we might say it's the third eye center. The 23 is the voice that gets to express pure insight. And so we start off first away with Mercury and Uranus there. Uranus, a slower moving planet in gateway number 23 for the whole month. And Mercury sidling in there and gateway number 43. So some very quick insights coming early on in the month. A little bit later on, we then have Mars activating gate 43. And so some of the insights that have come through may likely get put into action, and we start seeing these things actually coming about. 4323 is a highly innovative channel. Not only does it bring through insights, but it kind of concludes a lot of theories and dogmas and belief systems and all these things that kind of hold humanity back. Hold humanity back from, hey, come on, let's go into something fresh. Let's open up a new frontier here. So we can see at the moment, particularly in America, there's a lot of resistance to change. And there's just going to be this kind of easing that starts happening throughout November. We have that, and then we have the sun goes into the 43 on the 11th of November, opens up this whole area of explanation and dedication. At that same time, Mars and the sun come together, and the Earth and Uranus combine. So there's a lot of energy in this channel of 4323. Like, really, come on, let's open up some new stuff here. Let's talk about things in a different way, in a realistic way. Let's go beyond the dogmas. And so I would say, right up until around the 17th of the month, we have this streaming of insight coming through. So I'm not going to say it's going to disturb our sleep, but it's definitely going to alert us to other possibilities in life. We're going to want to communicate them. We're going to want to act on them. And we're going to want to see, yes, it's time for something totally fresh and different. So that is very much the energy as we get in here. One more thing I'm going to say is on the 6th of November, the sun goes into gateway number 1, the gateway of pure creativity. And so it opens up this life thing we call the Sphinx, and the Sphinx is very much about giving direction. We have this, if you've ever been to Egypt or you've seen photographs of this extraordinary carving in the sand there, the Sphinx, it's been aiming the same way forever. And everyone says, well, how old is this thing? How long has it been sitting there? And what's it all about? What is this thing? Like a lion or a person, or what is it? Or is it just kind of holding a body of knowledge that we've forgotten about? But it's aimed at the Syrian star system, and it has been forever. And you ask a geologist, how old is this thing? And they'll say, well, if it's been in the middle of a rainforest and there's been a lot of rain on it and there's a lot of erosion on the rock, we're going to go back a few 100,000 years. So, what we're playing out here on Earth is like not everything has been revealed to us, so just to be aware of this, there's this massive opportunity for innovation, for throwing back doorways into getting new insights, new approaches to life, new connections into things. And then sure enough, on the 13th, we have a new moon. And the new moon takes place in gateway number 43, and 43 is this gateway of insight. So again, I cannot overemphasize being open to having these extraordinary revelations, if you will, coming to us. And all of it, as I say, laying the groundwork for this dawning of a very different age that's coming our way. It's time to let go of a bunch of stuff, a lot of dogmas and belief systems that are really unrealistic. I'm just going to read to you about that new moon takes place on it's the 13th of the month, takes place in gateway number 43, and it's the second line. The line is called being resolute. A clear mind gives access to clear outcomes. So sure enough, when we get that tap on the shoulder, or all of a sudden we get that blast of insight, we know that something's changed. And, a lot of the fog all of a sudden just will dissipate. So that's my description of the opening of the merry month of November. Exciting times.
It is. It's powerful times. If we look at the first week of November, starting November 5th, what we have is a third quarter moon. So with human design, what Chetan does is he takes us through the sun moving through the various hexagrams, and it moves through one about every five and a half days. Right? Yeah. So the way that I'm looking and taking us through astrology is through the phases of the moon. So we start with a new moon, which is the beginning of the energy of each month. It's the birth of the energies of the coming 30 days. And then we have a first quarter moon. And then we'll have a full moon, which I just was talking about, the full moon eclipse on the 28th of November. The next lunation is a third quarter moon, and that's on November 5th. So what we have coming up is another turning point on November 5th, where we've had the eclipse, we've had the realizations. Ideally, we've paid attention to the realizations that are available for us because they're just streaming in. And now we're at a point at the third quarter moon of implementing. So it's like whatever realizations we've had, it's time now to put them in some kind of motion, some kind of expression, to put them to work for us. Because what good is it just to realize something if we don't actually then demonstrate it in physical form, which is what being in physical form is all about, is to demonstrate spirit in form. So,
and to have a good time doing it.
Well, ideally to have a good time doing it, right? That's not always possible.
Have a rich time doing it.
Yes, have a richly rewarding time doing it. That's a great way to say it, because even sometimes going through challenges can be very rewarding. So the energies at this period of time, this third quarter moon, are really interesting because that big grand triangle that I was talking about with Venus and Pluto and Uranus, all in Earth signs, such a powerful cycle of opportunity. You were talking about new breakthroughs and new innovations, and they're coming, at light speed, light speed innovation. That is happening. And the same thing is potentially happening for us in terms of our inner consciousness. We're in an awakening process, and it's powerful. More and more, millions and millions of people on a global basis are in a period somewhere in the process of awakening fully to their soul essence. So the more that happens, the more it becomes contagious, the more we begin to recreate our world. And we have about 3 years to do it. So with this third quarter moon, essentially the question is, how are you going to take the ripe opportunity of this time and bring it into expression, bring it into form, make it useful, make it valuable, make it practical. And often we do that through our work, the kind of work that we do or the way that we do our work, but it doesn't always have to happen through our work. It can happen through gardening, it can happen through our interactions with others. Mainly, it's how can we take those principles that we know to be true and integrate them into our life so they're not just concepts, they're living realities. And that's really what this third quarter moon is all about.
So I've already got us up to middle of the month. So
you want me to go to
I'd like you to have a look. Yeah,
okay.
Go up to the new moon, see what happens there.
Okay, good. It's one other thing that I'll talk about right before we get to that new moon, and that is that right at this time of in the first week of November, the 5th, 6th, 7th of November, Venus is in this grand triangle I was talking about. But at this point of the third quarter moon, it's also in what we call an opposition aspect to Neptune. So it's giving us an opportunity to see what we've considered unrealistic and what can be real for us. Are we to believe that we can't walk across 30 feet of hot coals? If we adapt that belief and we hold to it, we make that our reality. What if we believe that we can do it? And then what if we demonstrate that we can do it? Then we make that our reality. So reality is malleable. We're creating it as we go. This aspect with Neptune right here at this juncture is saying, take a look at how magical you really are. What a powerful creator you truly are. So that's the energy that we move into in that first week of November. Then we get to the new moon on your birthday, by the way. I just had to slip that in. November 13th is his birthday. And we also have a new moon, the new moon at 20 degrees of Scorpio. So the sun and moon together at 20 degrees of Scorpio, but also what's in there, you mentioned this too, Mars with the sun and the moon. Mm. So what do we have? We have a really, Mars activates, Mars brings energy. Mars is about doing, getting things done. Essentially it's about our work in the world. It's how we apply ourselves in the world. So we've got the new moon coming together with a new set of possibilities for transformation, with the exclamation point of Mars being there saying, go for it, like be on fire about it, like get to it. Whatever that needs to transform in your life, throw it into the fire, watch it burn, and see what happens. See what you make out of it next. See what you become through that process of releasing, of letting go, and allowing yourself to step into your next higher frequency, your next possibility. We all have this opportunity. Some of us will accept the invitation and some of us won't, and that's all okay, because it all comes out in the end. There's no other place to go except enlightenment, so we'll all get there eventually. The question is, can we all go together now? Can we get there together now? And we can, it's possible. And the energies of this new moon are giving us that possibility as a seed. It's a seed is nascent. It's just a possibility. It's a beginning. It's if we feed it, if we nurture it, if we water it, if we cultivate it, it'll grow. So what is it that we're cultivating in our lives? What creativity are we bringing forth? This new moon, along with Mars, is also exactly opposite Uranus. Uranus is calling us to an awakening. Uranus is about awakening to higher levels of consciousness. That's its whole purpose. It is to awaken humanity to the higher frequencies, beyond the five senses, the intuitive knowing, the higher knowing. So we have that possibility with this channel, the 4323, and then as we go into the creative, of bringing to light high innovation, high creativity, bringing to light a leap into a new awareness, and beginning to live more and more from that state of enlightened awareness. That's the energy of this time. We do have Mercury just coming out of, at the new moon, just coming out of this challenge with Saturn. Essentially, that's just saying, you know, within all of this, we need to be truthful. We need to speak our truth with love, ideally, but to speak our truth and be truthful, first of all, with ourselves and then with others. Because if we're not truthful, we throw ourselves out of alignment with our soul essence. So that's the other thing to pay attention to during this time as we come up to the new moon. Over to you.
All right. So you bring about this whole thing of being truthful. I'm going to add another word to it, being authentic.
Yeah.
And being in tune with one's own life. And that is basically what is on offer in this month. It's first of all, recognizing there are insights that want to be expressed, things that we've never gone to before. You know, we've always kind of stayed within a certain boundary or possibilities of things that we can talk about or engage in our life. And the month of November is going to be thoroughly innovative in that regard. We're going to find ourselves, wow, I cannot address these old things anymore. And so it's about coming into that space of authenticity. I need to express myself in a different way. I need to talk the truth. I need to express myself in a way that actually relates to me, rather than going along with what I've been taught or told or been expected to live out in life. So a little bit of a shake-up there. So we get into the 17th of the month. The sun goes into gateway number 14. Gateway number 14 is the gate of the cornucopia. It's the gateway of prosperity. You know, in the old Greek histories, there's the cornucopia is this open up sheaf that just provides all kind of fruits and vegetables and plenitude into the world. And that's where the sun goes on the 17th. It opens up this arena of transference, of being able to indicate to other people things that are really worthwhile. So be aware, you know, we're always saying with human design, trust your own type and authority. When something fun or interesting comes up on the radar, you know, is it a bright, shiny object, or is it something that really actually relates to me? The sun goes on a little bit further on the 21st of the month. It goes into this life thing we call uncertainty. Well, you know, we do live in certain uncertain times, but of course, the way of engaging with that is just seeing what's my truth in this, what's my authenticity in this. How do I relate to it all from my own type of authority? Where's my authority in all of this? And come the 22nd, all of a sudden the sun goes into gateway number 34, which is the gateway of power. Now, whether we've ever acknowledged it or not, we are all powerful beings. We have that. And a lot of times we just forget it. You know, we kind of play along with somebody else's game or get along with somebody else's experience or expression of what life's supposed to be. We have these systems in the world, things like politics and religions, and, you know, they're very much part of the Piscean age. Politics is very much involved with the collective, you know, the 51% and the 41% you're out of luck. And, you know, when it comes to that balance or that imbalance, if you will, then nothing positive really comes out of it. There's just people playing party lines and stuff. And so we really are moving out of this age of priests and politicians. We are, whether we like it or not. The Aquarian age will not support these things. We're moving out of the age of the collective, and we're moving into the age of the individual. And the age of the individual requires people to be personally responsible, right? To actually get a grip on their own life and live life in a conscious way. And when I say conscious, I also apply the word loving way. So we get a real taste of this, like a foretaste of times coming. On the 22nd, the sun goes into gateway number 34, which is a time for us all to embrace our power. Now, fortunately, at that same time, Venus is in gateway number 57. So the sun in the 34, the earth in gate 20, it makes up this channel being busy, busy, busy. It's also the channel called charisma. And we have Venus in there in the 57 that's applying awareness, loving awareness to our actions and our ability to step up in things. The life theme of that particular engagement is the life theme we call the sleeping phoenix. And we're just going to be getting a foretaste of times to come, because the sleeping phoenix is actually an age that's going to last several hundred years, commencing in these next few years. As I say, we're moving out of the age of the collective. Pluto's just about done sorting out systems that don't work anymore, or rearranging them in some way that hopefully they do work better. And this arena of the sleeping phoenix is this magical bird. Rise up, soars through the air, provides healing and well-being wherever it goes. I mean, you don't have to read Harry Potter to find out all the miracles that a phoenix can manage. But what happens is the phoenix crashes and burns. And in the ashes, there's a new egg, and there's a new hatching, and there's a new phoenix rises. So what we're going to see in these years coming, there's going to be a lot of soaring and crashing and burning, and soaring and crashing and burning. What happens in all these instances, if you're not acquainted with being able to withstand dramatic changes in your life, if you're not equipped to deal with that, if life is a constant bother, then I would really recommend, have another look at your human design. Have another look to see what are the things that are really calling for my attention and what are the things that are not calling for my attention, and get clear about this. To see, yes, you are a powerful being. That is a given. But how do you use this power? How do you use this love, this consciousness within you to the greatest effect? So come the 26th of the month, and I'm going a little bit ahead, actually, of the 24th, we have an interaction again that just highlights some very powerful aspects in us. It opens up a connection, the 360 at the bottom, this channel of mutation. Now, all the interactions that I've seen that have any duration in the month of November are all what we call individual, and therefore creative, and therefore innovative, and therefore different, and therefore opening up new possibilities for us. So again, this is kind of, as we get towards the end of the month, we have this other experience of, Pluto just saying, come on, open up into something new, something different, be prepared for some major changes in things. So I may be getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but it's just to say, this month of November is actually, a lot of things are going to wake up in us as individuals, and a lot of new pathways and new possibilities are going to become apparent. And it's a great time to start letting go of all these fossilized concepts that don't work anymore. The politics, it's like, what is really the political scene about? We either have a despot running the show, has got all these dogmatic ideas and basically is in it for himself. Or we have, a wobbly consensus of people with vested interests that kind of play puppets with the one in charge of things. So really, it's time for us all to grab our own authority. And I can't say this more vehemently, because as we've said, 2024 is going to take off at light speed. And it's going to be really handy to be authentic in our lives, clear in our lives when this all starts taking place.
And for those of us who are in the field of working with transformation, we're healers, we do readings, we do psychic, give psychic readings, or we offer business advice for people using esoteric kinds of systems, any of those realms where we're working in those helping professions in a way that we're working with transformation and with the possibility of helping others to awaken, and you discover their gifts, discover their strengths, and use them more. We're all going to be called more and more and more over the coming years. We're going to be busy. So I would say this is the time to really hone your skills, really do your studies, really make sure that your tool bag is really complete, because you're going to be needed. We're all really needed out there in the world. And that's going to become more and more apparent over the next year, and then the coming 2 years. So that said, after the new moon, we come to the first quarter moon. And the first quarter, so the new moon was on November 13th. Now we go to November 20th at the first quarter moon, which is that first turning point after we have the nascent possibilities at the new moon. of what's going to be created next. That first quarter moon that happens a week afterwards is the beginning of working towards a vision that was planted at the new moon. So if the vision at the new moon was one of high transformation and powerful innovation, then this first quarter moon is about, all right, so implementing that. How do we implement, how do we bring it into form and implement it? We've got, at the first quarter moon on the 20th of November, we've got the Sun and Mars exactly together at 27 degrees of Scorpio, exactly in a linking aspect with Pluto, the planet of transformation. So we've got our solar force, we've got our energy to get things done, linked with this planet of transformation, also in a flow with this planet of spiritual blessings, Neptune. So we have a set of abilities. It's like if you sat down to a card table and you were dealt a hand that was like, you know, aces and kings. I mean, this is where we have this possibility of working with such high creative energies right now, or throughout the month of November, and especially as we get towards the middle of November and then into the latter part of November. It's just, there's high creativity. So this is the time to ask yourself, you know, what is it that I'm here to contribute, or how can I contribute more, or how can I contribute in a bigger way, or how can I really let people know what it is that they can experience with me, with the work that I do, with what I have to teach or share, or with the healing techniques I use, etc. So it's a time of high communication, of Mercury and Venus in all month, pretty much in this linking aspect. Now in the signs of Venus in its home sign of Libra, Mercury in its sign of Sagittarius. Again, that's highly interactive. It's expressive, it's emotive. Then we have the Sun leaving Scorpio on November 22nd, and it'll go into the sign of Sagittarius. So when that happens, we enter a different realm. We're complete with the deep transformation of Scorpio, the big, you know, awakening, all those gates in the individual circuitry being activated and turned on. And now we're going into a mutable sign, Sagittarius, which is about spreading the word. It's about sharing with our brothers and sisters. It's about learning new things. It's about exploring new territory. Generally, it's a really, I don't know, happy or jovial kind of sign. It's ruled by Jupiter. It's about new possibilities. It does start out with the intensity of the energies that we have while in Scorpio, still sort of pouring into the early first few days of Sagittarius. Mars still there strongly, and in a right angle with Saturn, saying, you know, all right, it's all very fun, kids. It's all very delightful, but, you know, do you have your ducks in a row? That's an American expression for those of you who are Americans. Do you have everything lined up properly? Right? Because, you know, best do have everything lined up properly. Don't miss things. Don't skip steps. Make sure that it's solid. So with all this upper chakra energy happening in this part of the year, where we're awakening and we're opening, and, you know, our intuition is going and our psychic input is coming in, still we need to be grounded and practical. So while we have all this vision moving, how can we take that and make it practical and make it effective? How can we be effective with it? Is essentially the question of this first quarter moon on November 20th that takes us through November 27th.
So I just want to do a little bit of a recap in terms of the moon's activity, the eclipse that we're having today in the 27 line 4, giving us this sense of bounteousness, right, to open up into the month of November. Bounteousness in the sense that there are so many extraordinary resources here. And, you know, I gave you that image of the mouth, the open mouth, the solid bars on the hexagram on either ends, and then all the gaps in the middle, like an open mouth, right? How do we nourish ourselves? How do we feed ourselves? But more importantly, what do we read? What do we watch? Who do we play with? Who inspires us? These kinds of things. How much time do we spend in meditation, these things. And then we got to the new moon on the 13th of November, and this was in the gateway number 43. And it was basically saying, we're in the middle of massive downloads of insight. All of a sudden getting a completely different picture about things. What do we do with it? Can we relay it? Can we relate it into our world? Can we break the fossilized concepts? Can we get out of the muck? Yeah, the muck, the billions of dollars that goes into armaments and goes into politics and goes into religion and all these wasteful efforts. How do we find our authenticity? How do we engage with that authenticity? How do we find our sovereignty? And so when then we come towards the end of the month here, and on the 27th, we have a full moon again. And this one takes place in the gateway number 20. And I've given you the image of the 27, which is the solid with broken lines in the middle and solid at the top, the mouth, the open mouth. The 43 is the image of all solid lines and a broken line at the bottom. So all of a sudden, this little insight is coming in. Something's breaking up the pattern. And when we get to the 20, it's 4 broken lines and 2 solid lines across the top. It's the gateway of the gate. It's the gateway, basically. It's the doorway. And the doorway is the doorway of the now. And the now exists between the past and the future, right? So anywhere you go in China and Japan, you go to visit a great place or a temple, and you'll find there's one of these gateways, solid uprights and 2 bars across the top. And it's basically saying, hang on a minute, pause, get done with the marketplace, get ready for the temple, right? So you go into the temple, you do whatever you do there, you have that space, and then you come back and you come in the gateway again, you pause in the now before you go back into the life and back into the marketplace. So this full moon in the 20th hexagram is significant. We've gone through this very powerful month of November, with all these insights coming in, and now we're just being said, hang on a minute, what's happened here? Have you grown? Have you expanded? Have you seen your life in a very different way? And the 20 takes place in the 6th line. It's the line that's called reflecting. A moon anyhow reflects, but here it is a full moon that's reflecting, considering those agendas that benefit everyone. And so we've gone through this whole thing of recognizing bounteousness and getting new insights about ourselves and our life and the world in which we live. And all of a sudden we see, wow, maybe I can be a great contributor here. Maybe I have that power to do this. Maybe I can be really a significant presence in consciousness as we go into this global awakening. So that's where I'm going to pause my comments for the merry month of November. But, these are extraordinary times and we're being given extraordinary opportunities.
We are. And we'll be back with you again on November 25th, Saturday, November 25th. We'll begin talking a little more about that last week of November, and then we'll go into the last month of the year, December. So we will see you then. We'll be talking about the upcoming full moon on November 27th, which will be another really exciting aspect to take a look at. It's been a joy to get to do this with you. We hope that it's been really valuable for you and offered you some insight and understanding, which we all need to convey to each other. And we're living in challenging times, so we're here to be there for you, and hopefully you're there for each other. And that's how we do this. That's how we create a new world. So namaste.
And we'll see you again soon
next month.